What the hell is pushing everything higher right now? That's the question people keep asking, but most of them don't get a real answer. Because it feels like everything is getting more expensive at the same time. Not slowly, not in a normal cycle, but across the board. Food, transport, energy, housing inputs, even basic everyday goods. And the strange part, most people just feel it without understanding what's actually behind it. But there is a reason, and it starts with something most people underestimate completely: oil. Not as a headline crisis, not as a dramatic geopolitical story, but as the invisible engine behind almost everything. Because oil is not just fuel for cars, it is the fuel behind movement itself. Think about anything you buy. It doesn't just appear in a store, it moves. From raw material, to factory, to warehouse, to shipping ports, to trucks, to final delivery. Every single step depends on energy, and a huge part of that energy is still oil. So when oil prices rise, it doesn't just affect drivers at gas stations, it affects the entire chain behind everything. Let's take something simple, a t-shirt. It looks completely disconnected from oil, but it isn't. The cotton is grown using machinery. That machinery runs on fuel. The fabric is processed in factories that rely on energy. Then it is shipped across oceans on cargo ships, then transported by trucks. Every step uses fuel. So when oil rises, the cost of that t-shirt rises too. Not because the shirt changed, but because the system moving the shirt became more expensive. Now multiply that logic across everything: food, electronics, construction materials, packaging. That's why oil matters so much, not because it is the only input, but because it sits underneath almost everything, and when it moves, everything feels it. Now, this is where inflation starts to make sense. When energy costs rise, companies don't absorb it forever. They pass it on, slowly, layer by layer, producer to distributor, distributor to retailer, retailer to consumer, until it reaches you. That's inflation. Not just prices going up, but cost pressure traveling through a global system. And that's why it feels like everything is rising together. Because in reality, it is. But not because of one simple cause. It's a connected system reacting to itself. Oil is the physical driver. Interest rates are the financial pressure. Geopolitics adds uncertainty, and inflation is the result of all three interacting. So what is actually pushing everything higher right now? It's not one thing, it's multiple forces hitting at the same time. Now add another layer: interest rates. When inflation rises, central banks respond. They raise interest rates. The goal is simple: slow demand, cool the economy, make borrowing more expensive. But here's the problem: higher interest rates don't produce oil. They don't fix shipping costs. They don't increase supply instantly. They just reduce demand pressure. So what you end up with is tension from both sides: oil pushing costs up, rates pushing activity down, and the economy sitting right in the middle of that pressure. Now, here's the key thing most people don't realize. Markets don't wait for confirmation. They move on expectation. So when oil starts rising, it doesn't just affect current prices, it changes future behavior. Companies adjust pricing early, investors reposition early, consumers start feeling pressure early, before anything is officially confirmed by data. That's why it feels like everything is moving together, because in reality, it is. But not because of one simple cause, it's a system reacting to itself. Oil is the physical driver. Interest rates are the financial pressure. Geopolitics adds uncertainty, and inflation is the result of all three interacting. So what is actually pushing everything higher right now? It's not one thing, it's multiple forces hitting at the same time. And oil is just the most visible signal of that system. Not the only cause, but one of the first things that makes everything else visible.